Yeah, can we just clear up the Ninth Circle cult, Kevin, and just get a condensed description of all popes, right, are mandatory in the Ninth Circle cult, and this is a sacrificial ritual killing, right?
Yes, the first reference to it is in a Vatican document referring to the Jesuits establishing it sometime in the 17th century as a means of controlling popes. Of course, it harkens back to a much earlier practice in the Roman Empire. For example, the Ninth Circle hold their rituals on February 23rd, 24th in Rome, which were traditionally the festival of Terminalia, where they would sacrifice children and animals for the crops, right? And so it's based on old Roman practices, but it's a Jesuit established custom. It refers to in Dante's Inferno, Dante Alighieri in his book, The Inferno, he refers to the 9 levels of hell. And the 9th circle of hell is where Satan is supposed to reside, along with anyone who's betrayed a sacred trust, like to a child, a vow before God, something like that. And that's exactly what they do. They invert their vow, they murder and cannibalize a child. And by that, they make a vow to Satan, asking for unlimited worldly power. It's kind of like right out of Faust, right?
And we have evidence of these 2 recent popes, Francis, Benedict, attending and operating in these Ninth Circle cults.
According to 2 eyewitnesses who saw them both there, according to references made by other people around the Ninth Circle, and sources in Rome. And even now in Argentina, some journalists are beginning to look into what was going on when he was Archbishop in the main cathedral in Buenos Aires, where people admit families would go in there and never come out again, right? A former nun who's living in hiding now in Spain described that. So, there's a lot of kind of mounting evidence about all this.
I'm sure you've heard of Jimmy Savile, the BBC entertainer from the UK. He was a British royal family knight, but he was also a papal knight, and it seemed like he had the key to the door to all the leading politicians and dignitaries of the UK: Margaret Thatcher, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown. Yeah. Photos with Savile and all the royals. Is there a Ninth Circle cult that spans to the royal family, and is evidence of Jimmy Savile perhaps being in this cult?
British royal family, yeah. The Ninth Circle is not confined to one country. In fact, it was interesting when I was in London. One of the last 3 times was when Ratzinger came into town. I don't know if you remember. I think it was September 2010. There was this protest the Pope March. It was great. There was like 20,000 of us in London. They expected 1,000. There was 20 times that number to protest Ratzinger there. Well, Ratzinger was up that same weekend. He was up in Holyrood Castle in Scotland meeting with Liz Windsor. And he stayed overnight. And apparently there was an agreement there. They were negotiating the terms by which she would bring the Church of England back into the Roman fold. Now, that's a violation of her coronation oath right there. Boom. Should have been forced into abdication right then. If you're a strict constitutionalist, she abrogated her right to be on the throne at that point. But the fact that they would do that indicates these strong ties that go on. Anglican and Catholic clergy are interchangeable on these things in terms of being seen at these rituals. They're now governed by that same policy I mentioned of crimen solicitanis, where Anglican priests are obligated to cover up child abuse and not tell the police. That's a criminal conspiracy right there. So, I mean, yeah, the ties are direct, right?
And the Dead Man's Creek near Kamloops residential school, where William Coombs was the witness, providing evidence for the Queen and her husband Philip's visit there in 1963. 10 children, 64, October, right, and taken out to a canyon, a creek somewhere, and these children were never seen again. Is this likely to be a cult sacrificial killing, or is there any evidence along those lines?
There's some. First of all, look at the dates. It was October 10th, 1964. If you all that 10th day, 10th month, 1964, all that up to 10, and there were 10 children, 7 boys and 3 girls. Now, when you look in the book of Job, right at the very beginning, it describes how Satan goes out to test Job's faith. God sends out Satan. And one of the first things he does is he kills all of Job's children. A roof collapses on all of them. There were 7 boys and 3 girls.
Exactly the ratio of...
Yes, and we brought a police-accredited psychic with us when we went on the grounds where Williams said they vanished. And she looked over at a hill, and she's done this with the police. She literally points to a hill where people are buried, and they dig and find people there. So she's very empathic. She said she couldn't go near it. She said they're over there. Their bodies are laid out in a cultic configuration. They were killed the same day, and then they were arranged kind of in this weird cultic formation. And William himself was killed at St. Paul's Hospital. The nurse who treated him is online now. I don't know if you've seen that interview.
I saw the interview, right. And so the evidence against the head of the British monarchy is indisputable.
Well, that evidence, now we don't have evidence linking her, like an eyewitness seeing her do it, but definitely by guilt by association, being there at the scene of the crime, not responding. We sent a summons to Buckingham Palace asking her to respond. She never did, which under the law is an admission of guilt. If you don't respond to a summons, court summons in the law, you're often the case can go against you. The judge can automatically rule against the defendant because they're not defending their good name in public when they've been accused of a crime. That's an admission of guilt under the law. So you add all of that up, and there's much more than just circumstantial evidence.